Hello, Sarah's back. We are going to go over the most Googled questions about purchasing a home in 2026 today. We're only going to cover 4, so sit back and enjoy the ride. Question number 1, will rates go down in 2026? Well, let's think about it this way. We'll think of it like the weather, and we know that our meteorologists do their best to get as accurate information as possible. But at the end of the day, there is no way to know for sure if it is going to rain in 2 weeks. That is how I would explain the interest rates. If you are waiting for a huge drop, for it to go to 3% or, anything like that, I highly suggest not waiting for that, because it just may not ever happen again. It may happen again. There's no way to know. But all of these questions that I've noticed, it's more of we have to just kind of rethink, like retrain our brain to think, to like maybe ask different questions, because this is such a difficult question to answer because we don't know what the rates are going to do. So what we need to look at is when rates went very low a few years ago, think about what happened to the market. It became crazy competitive. House prices skyrocketed. There were multiple offers. It was crazy. So it was great because you were getting a lower interest rate, but not so great because you had to put much higher price tag on that house. So fast forward to kind of where we are now, and last year was a tough year, but we were seeing interest rates going high, but what was happening to the housing market? Prices are dropping. I believe last time I checked, I think like 51% of the homes in Central Texas have had some sort of price reduction, right? So if you think about it, it kind of evens out, right? So that's kind of my advice is, I don't know what exactly we're waiting on when it comes to rates, but if you're wanting to buy, then go out and figure out what you can buy, and just kind of change that your way of thinking on that. So the second question is, how much income do I need to buy a house? Once again, let's rearrange our thought process. It's not necessarily a matter of how much income you have. It is a matter of your debt and your income and how much house you want to buy and what you can afford. So think of your income as a bucket, and your car payment, right, goes into your bucket. Your credit cards go into that bucket. Student loans go into that bucket. All of these monthly obligations, child support, out, like whatever monthly obligations you have go into this bucket. And so the higher it gets, the less room there is for a house, right? The lower it is, the more room you have. So it's not a matter of how much you make. It's like looking at the bigger picture. So I hope that kind of clarified a little bit on how much income you may need. Okay. Third question is renting versus buying. You see, all of those memes and, certain lenders posting, you're paying someone else's mortgage, or, with rent, you're paying 100% interest, right? You're not investing in anything. And yes, those are all technically correct, but I operate under, we all have different situations, right? Someone may have just moved. You just graduated high school. You just graduated college. Your job requires a lot of movement. You just flat out don't have money. All of these different factors go into why one rents, and you will never hear me saying anything about that, because that is your prerogative. What I will say is, if you are already kind of asking that question, that lets me believe that you're kind of maybe thinking about the benefits, the pros and the cons, which is great. So get with a lender and see. I am a huge proponent of, you don't know what you don't know, and ask the questions, find out the information so you know exactly, you know the answers, right? So find yourself a lender that is willing to sit down and go through all of that with you. If you're kind of on the fence about renting versus buying, okay? I'm always here to chit chat, FYI. Okay, the final question, and this one is big because I also did a survey, and this was the number one reason why people don't think that they can get into a house, and it's the credit score. And it is a tricky one because you do have to have a minimum credit score to qualify for some loan programs, right? So this is kind of my thought process on this. If you are at a 580, it's going to be a little bit more expensive. You're not going to have as many programs open to you, and it makes things a little bit harder, but start working on that credit, right? It can only go up. To 600, you have a lot more options available to you. So you're looking real good. Once you are hitting the 620s, the 640s, the 700s, you're pretty solid, right? I constantly am, always trying to raise and keep an eye on my credit because, hey, people make mistakes. And if I don't catch it, who else is going to catch it, right? So if you are under, and if you know your credit is not where it should be, get your credit report. I believe it's freeannualcreditreport.com or something along those lines. It is not going to give you the scores necessarily, but you'll at least have the report. And if you're looking at the report and you have no clue what you're looking at, have someone help you look at it. I do it all the time. I meet friends and we get coffee and we look through credit reports, because if you don't know what you're looking for, and if you find something and you don't know how to fix it, if one thing is wrong on your credit report, you can dispute it. And if they can't fix it, well, it shouldn't be on there. So there's these little tricks that you can do to make sure it's accurate and to give you a kind of like a starting point. You always want some sort of starting point. And so that's my advice. If you know that your credit's not good, but it's a goal of yours, that's essentially where I would start. So those are the top Googled questions about home buying. So I hope it clarified a few things. I will see y'all around.